Okay, so we've aligned on a primary read, we've cast our talent, and we're feeling good. But there's still much to be discovered and much to validate. From here, we move into an exploratory phase. This record serves as a sort of performance sandbox where we test the limits of who this champion is, validate experimental tech or features, and start to dial in and discover the specifics of how this champion will manifest in game. Exploratory VO also gets fully implemented, playtested like crazy, and otherwise battle-tested for quality. The wide funnel we started with starts to narrow a bit, and these discoveries lead to pivots, adjustments, rewrites, tech changes, and adaptations to processing effects. Part 3. Performance best practices and working with a competitive mindset. So, I'm a sound designer. I have an audio and music background, so my natural hubris is that I am the
ultimate shaper of digital audio.
And there's nothing I can't splice, edit, Frankenstein, melodyne, pitch shift, or otherwise mangle into the perfect asset. But obviously, we all know that's a cardinal sin. Fixing it in post is not the answer, and getting a magical, game-ready performance happens in the session. The voice actors and directors we have the privilege of working with are brilliant, but it's our job to set them up for success by communicating with them about the how and when of League VO. League the MOBA is just not a cinematic game. Dialogue is not exchanged between characters for any significant amount of time. There's never a cutscene or pause in the action, and players do not have the ability to skip lines of dialogue. All of this is really, really important to how we approach our records. Before we get into specifics, I'm going to play some VO from one of our champions, Kane. In this alternate universe, Kane has been locked in an eternal power struggle with his possessed scythe named Rost. You can't make this stuff up, folks. And these are lines that play if the player opts to finally have Kane destroy Rost and ascend into godhood, which changes his playstyle. Pay attention to what you notice about these lines, and we'll come back to it.
I can feel aura coursing through my veins. This is sublime! Emperor Kane. Such a magnificent title. I love it. I will rule as a tyrant, and they will love me for it. I know you're watching, Rost, and I love how much you hate this. I command you to bleed! Die where you stand! I see now. You're gonna love this next part. Rejoice! Your emperor is here!
So, getting into performance specifics, all dialogue should be delivered with support and projection. That sounds obvious, and one could say this applies to any speech, but that's really not true. Some of my absolute favorite, most gut-wrenching or exhilarating game performances are packed with mumbles, stutters, trepidation, and ellipses, where the gain is cranked and every breath or hitch in the voice is relished and showcased. League has a fundamentally different environment, and combat and competition is at the heart of it.
An iron will must be forged.
Darkness is a gift!
We all gotta hustle.
Nico, teach you a lesson! Quick, lay on your back and kick him!
Lines should be performed succinctly, with energy and focus. We want to stay away from unnecessarily languid and ponderous delivery. Remember, League is a fast-paced competitive esport, so keeping a tightly focused, clear mix is essential. And players can't skip lines, so they're kind of at the mercy of our scripts and tech. We also want sensitivity toward the extremes of vocal projection. Screaming and shouting at really high sound pressure should be limited because it tends to feel artificial when attenuated to an appropriate in-game volume level, and it breaks immersion. Whispering should also be used sparingly, and if necessary for effect, should use a well-projected stage whisper. Relying on increased input gain for healthy levels is going to have the opposite effect. It will give you a low but boosted signal that breaks the cohesion in the game environment. When we recently developed our shy, skittish fawn champion Lilia, here's how we placed her softer, whispered lines in more of a stage whisper.
Humans forget so much when they awake. Quiet things are strong. That's why I'm whispering. Dreams help more than gardens grow.
League of Legends uses a fixed, isometric camera view at a moderate distance from the champion. Unless otherwise chosen for creative effect, VO proximity should feel at an appropriate distance from the camera. Standard traversal and attack lines fire for the local player only in 2D space, so that no matter where the player has panned the camera on the map, the champion is verbally acknowledging their input. Many other, typically combat-focused lines fire in 3D space and are heard by all players on the field. These lines exist in game-defined space with an attenuation roll-off, but because the listener's on the isometric camera at a vantage point above the action, there's no directionality or distance-driven RTPCs for filtering or verb. In other words, it's really all about finding that pocket in the session. When we're talking about achieving the right intensity and energy of different line categories within the game, we found it's helpful to not get too prescriptive or granular with voice actors about where they should fall. We want to arm folks with good guidelines while keeping exploration and creativity undisturbed. At its highest level, most in-game VO can be boiled down to two different types. One, lines delivered from the back foot, which is to say it's slightly lower stakes, nothing's immediately on the line, and it's more of a character moment. And two, lines delivered from the front foot. Here the energy shifts, something is at stake. It's more of a player moment where something's actually on the line IRL, like winning or losing your game. Back foot line and delivery helps the player know about the character, while front foot lines and delivery help them viscerally feel the character. In addition, the desired energy level should loosely parallel the player's journey through the game. This is more granular and more of an internal resource than session-facing, but I made this handy energy hierarchy chart and plotted some of our in-game contexts here. This isn't always one-to-one, but respawning after a death, placing a vision ward to see an area, and opening up the shop to buy are just objectively more chill situations than casting your ultimate ability or, killing the entire enemy team and getting a pentakill. Before we move on, here are a few of those Kane lines one more time. See if you notice those principles put into play in this delivery.
I command you to bleed! Submit to me. Die where you stand! I see now. You're gonna love this next part. All will bow to my greatness! Rejoice! Your emperor is here!
Spells are the most gameplay crucial part of the League experience. The sonic content of a spell can make or break important moments relating to combat and ultimately victory or defeat. Each spell's VO should be crafted uniquely and with sensitivity toward how it compares and contrasts with the rest of the ability kit. Each spell's VO should have its own shape, pitch, envelope, and energy to maximize its readability in-game. Moreover, spell efforts should be reflective of the disruptive impact of the spell. Simple utility spells like a dash or shield should be appropriately less intense, with ultimate abilities typically being the rarest and highest impact moments. Strategic awareness of spell VO allows players to instantly cue off of them in a split second in the heat of battle, so a lot of care is put into culling down our spell VO into something unique. Let's check out some examples of spells that use frequency, envelope, and delivery to prep the ear for what's going to happen.
Heads up. Better duck.
Look out! Keep pushing.
You will learn what beauty truly is.
The more disruptive an ability can be to the game, and consequently the less often it fires, in other words, the longer the cooldown time, the smaller the number of VO lines you want in that bucket and the less variation you want overall, allowing you to slim bank size and maximize value to the player with a more consistent gameplay experience. This is most notoriously evident in ultimate ability casts. Players are processing an enormous amount of information from moment to moment, but when it comes to cutting through the noise and communicating crucial stuff, voice-based audio is best in class. After all, human beings are taught from birth that human speech is crucial to their survival. And hey, technically this is survival, right? Check out some examples here where we sought to create iconic ultimate VO.
Feathers fly! Didn't see that coming.
follow this path until the end.
Going for a ride!
I'd also just like to say there are many other competitive games that achieve this phenomenally, and if you work on a project that has killer ult and spell callouts, chances are I'm already obsessed with your game.